Welcome to the Recap Vault. Today, we're diving into one of the boldest, most imaginative sci-fi adventures ever to hit the big screen, The Fifth Element, 1997, directed by Luc Besson. Before sleek superhero universes and cinematic crossovers, there was this: a wild, operatic space epic filled with humor, chaos, and heart. A film that mixed pulp adventure, cyberpunk, and high fashion into one unforgettable spectacle. When The Fifth Element premiered in 1997, audiences didn't quite know what to make of it. A space opera that looked like a comic book, sounded like a pop concert, and felt like a fever dream. But over time, it became a cult masterpiece. A movie that dared to say sci-fi could be weird, colorful, and full of soul. The story begins. We open in the Egyptian desert, in the year 1914. Inside an ancient temple, archaeologists study strange carvings that speak of a great evil that appears every 5,000 years. A secret order of priests guards this knowledge. The prophecy of a cosmic force that can destroy life itself, and the five elements that can stop it: earth, air, fire, water, and a mysterious fifth element said to be the key to all life. As the archaeologist works, a spacecraft descends from the skies. Massive, golden, and unlike anything human eyes have seen. The door opens to reveal towering robotic beings known as the Mondoshaans, keepers of the universe's balance. They've come to retrieve the sacred stones, the elements, before evil can return. The priest panics, thinking humanity has been betrayed, but the aliens assure him that the stones are only being taken for safekeeping. They'll be returned when the time comes. Before leaving, they hand him a key, a promise that their faith will one day be needed again. And just like that, the movie fast-forwards 300 years into a future unlike any other. New York, 2263. The Earth has changed. Flying cars soar between skyscrapers that stretch into the clouds. Robots and aliens walk among humans. Technology is everywhere, but chaos still reigns. In this world lives Corbin Dallas, a retired Special Forces major turned struggling cab driver. Played by Bruce Willis, he's tough, dryly funny, and completely broke. A man who's seen too much and now just wants peace. Elsewhere, far beyond Earth, a dark planet made of pure evil awakens. A pulsating mass of shadow that consumes everything in its path. The President of the Federated Territories, played by Tommy Tiny Lister, consults the priest Vito Cornelius, Ian Holm, the last guardian of the Mondoshawan secret. Cornelius warns that the great evil has returned, and only the fifth element can stop it. Disaster in the skies. The Mondoshawan ship returns, carrying the stones and the fifth element. But it's ambushed by alien mercenaries called the Mangaloras, working for a ruthless arms dealer named Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg, played with manic brilliance by Gary Oldman. Zorg is everything a sci-fi villain should be: vain, greedy, and obsessed with power. He believes chaos breeds profit, and he supplies the Mangaloras with weapons in exchange for the stones. When their attack destroys the Mondoshawan ship, it seems all hope is lost. But from the wreckage, Earth scientists recover something miraculous: a fragment of a being's hand. Using advanced biotechnology, they reconstruct the entire organism. The result? A woman. The fifth element itself, Lilu, played by Mila Jovovich. Born in a burst of energy and light, she is the perfect being, pure, powerful, and unlike anything human. But frightened and disoriented by her resurrection, she escapes the lab and leaps off a ledge, crashing straight through the roof of Corbin Dallas's flying cab. Two worlds collide. Corbin's life changes in an instant. The strange woman in his back seat speaks a language he's never heard. She's terrified, drenched, and desperate to get away. When the police chase them through the city, Corbin's old soldier instincts kick in. He speeds through traffic, evading capture in one of the most iconic chase scenes of the 1990s. Eventually, Lilu introduces herself, or at least tries to. Her name is a mouthful. Lilu Menai Lekarariba Laminai Chai Ekbat de Sabat. All Corbin can manage to say is, "Lilu, okay, nice to meet you." She demands to be taken to Vito Cornelius. Corbin, unsure who that is, brings her to him anyway. When Cornelius sees her, he realizes the prophecy has come true. The fifth element has returned to save humanity. But there's a problem. Lilu doesn't yet have the 4 elemental stones. Without them, she cannot form the ultimate weapon to stop the great evil. And so begins the race to find them before Zorg and the approaching darkness consume everything. Few sci-fi films balance absurdity and awe like this one. Luc Besson's world feels both ridiculous and profound, a universe where sacred destiny collides with slapstick comedy, and somehow it works. The mission begins. Cornelius explains that the stones were given to an alien opera singer named Diva Plavalaguna, who will deliver them during a performance on the luxury starliner Floston Paradise. To reach her, they'll need to sneak aboard. And that's where Corbin comes in. The government, still hoping to stop the great evil, secretly selects Corbin for the mission. They disguise it as a vacation prize, complete with tickets for 2 to Floston Paradise. Lilu insists on accompanying him, and together they set off, an unlikely duo carrying the fate of the universe. Meanwhile, Zorg grows increasingly desperate. The Mangalores failed him, and his mysterious employer, a disembodied voice from the great evil, warns him that time is running out. In one of cinema's most chilling scenes, Zorg coughs and chokes as black liquid oozes from his head, a sign that even he, the villain, is just a pawn of something greater. The opera and the ambush on Floston Paradise. The atmosphere shifts. It's all glamour, lights, and luxury. Lilu, ever curious, explores the ship, learning more about humanity through the simplest things: music, food, laughter. Corbin, trying to stay undercover, can't help but fall for her, not out of lust, but because she represents something he's forgotten: innocence and purpose. Then comes one of the film's most iconic moments. The diva's performance, an alien figure draped in blue. Her voice soars through an operatic area that transitions into a futuristic beat. As she sings, Lilu fights off a group of Mangalores in a ballet of acrobatics and chaos, intercut perfectly with the music. When the performance ends, the diva collapses, mortally wounded in the crossfire. With her dying breath, she reveals the truth. The elemental stones aren't in her luggage. They're hidden inside her own body. Corbin retrieves them just as the ship is overrun by Mangalores, and the battle begins. The perfect being. After an explosive showdown, Corbin and Lilu escape with the stones. Zorg arrives moments later, furious, planting a bomb to cover his tracks. But in his arrogance, he forgets to disarm it, sealing his own fate. Back on Earth, the great evil continues its approach. It's now only hours away. Cornelius, his apprentice David, and the heroes return to the ancient Egyptian temple, racing against time to align the stones and activate the weapon. They arrange the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. But nothing happens. The 5th element remains silent. Lilu, traumatized by humanity's violence, all the wars, all the death she's seen in recorded history, questions if life is even worth saving. Corbin, the soldier who's lost faith, now finds himself pleading with her to believe again. He tells her the one thing she doesn't understand yet: love. And that's the key. Love becomes the 5th element. When Corbin confesses his love for her, Lilu awakens, radiating light and energy. The stones activate, creating a beam of pure life that collides with the great evil, annihilating it completely. The Earth is saved, not by weapons, but by the power of compassion. Few endings are as unapologetically romantic as this one. Amid all the chaos, explosions, and neon absurdity, Luc Besson reminds us that the oldest force in the universe, love, is still the most powerful. The world rejoices. The president declares Corbin and Lilu heroes. Zorg's empire collapses, his greed literally consumed by the fire he unleashed. Cornelius, for the first time in centuries, feels peace. But for Corbin and Lilu, the real victory isn't global, it's personal. They've both found what they were missing. For him, meaning. For her, connection. In the film's final moment, the 2 lovers are in a recovery pod, being scanned by scientists. When the president asks to see them, the technician opens the chamber and finds them locked in an embrace, alive, together, and finally, free. fade to white. When The Fifth Element premiered in 1997, it didn't just entertain, it confused, delighted, and redefined what science fiction could look like. It was loud, colorful, funny, and utterly unashamed of its own weirdness. A sharp contrast to the sleek, sterile futures that dominated the genre at the time, Luc Besson built more than a world. He built an entire mythology. A story about chaos and beauty, technology and faith, and the simple truth that love, not logic, is humanity's last defense against extinction. The film's design became its own language. Jean-Paul Gaultier's costumes told stories, from the absurd opulence of the future citizens to Li Lu's bandaged rebirth, symbolizing purity rebuilt from destruction, and that chaotic New York sky, stacked highways, flying taxis, pollution, and color wasn't dystopia. It was a living, breathing vision of humanity's messy future, one that still feels real. Decades later, the film's look wasn't meant to predict the future. It was meant to exaggerate it, turning sci-fi into visual poetry. At its heart, The Fifth Element is a story about rediscovery. Corbin Dallas, tired and numb, represents the cynicism of the human race. Li Lu, literally reborn, represents innocence, emotion, and hope. Their relationship isn't just romantic, it's symbolic. The soldier learns to feel again, and the divine learns why humanity is worth saving. And then there's Zorg, one of cinema's strangest villains, a businessman of destruction. He doesn't want to rule the world, just to profit from its end. Gary Oldman plays him as the perfect reflection of our age. Greed dressed as progress, ambition without empathy. When Zorg chokes on his own creation, it's the film's dark punchline. Technology without conscience always turns on its maker. Thematically, The Fifth Element is all about balance between mind and heart, chaos and compassion. The four stones represent nature's forces, but Li Lu, the fifth, symbolizes the human soul. Together, they remind us that survival isn't about dominance, but harmony. It's that same philosophy that turns the climax into something quietly profound. The final weapon isn't a gun or a machine, it's love. In a genre built on destruction, Besson dared to make the saving of the world emotional, not mechanical. The Fifth Element ends not with conquest, but connection, proving that empathy can be a superpower. When the film first hit theaters, critics didn't know what to make of it. But over time, it became a cult legend. The Fifth Element isn't some alien force in the stars. It's the part of us that still cares, even when it's easier not to.